Hey everybody, and welcome to Dominion Cards, the video series where we take a strategic, in-depth look at various cards from the board game Dominion. Today we're looking at a potion. This is a 4-cost treasure card from Alchemy, and there is no text at all on this card. So what is this card, and what's going on? Well, the Alchemy expansion has cards that list a potion in their cost. So if you look down here at Alchemist, for example, it has 3 coins and a potion listed in its cost. But you also have, for example, Vineyard, which has just a potion. So it's essentially 0 coins and a potion. Now, if you want to buy these cards, you need a potion to spend. And so potion as a treasure generates this potion resource that you can then use to buy potion cost cards with. Each potion you play generates you 1 potion, basically, that you get to spend as if it were some special type of 1 coin, you know. Now, potion is added to the kingdom only when at least 1 potion cost card also shows up. It is worth noting that Apprentice and Herbalist that are in the Alchemy expansion do not have potion in their cost, and therefore they don't add a potion. It's only the potion costing card ones that do. When you add potion, you put 16 of them in the supply. Now, because potion counts as a supply pile, that means you're allowed to buy it. And if the pile empties, then it counts as one of the 3 piles that trigger the end of the game. Note, though, that it is very rare, in my experience, to actually see the potion pile empty. It can happen, but under normal circumstances, it usually won't. Okay, like 16 is a lot of potions, basically. There's usually far more than the game actually needs. So what's the point of this video? Because strategy around when you want to buy potion depends a lot on the other potion cost cards that are available in the kingdom, right? Potion is intrinsically linked to those cards, and of course, when we talk about those cards, we will be covering potion as a part of that, right? So like, when do you want to buy potion, for example, is going to be, well, when you want to start buying the other potion cost card. And you can't really talk about that with potion on its own. So what this video is going to be doing is we're going to be talking more about general strategy around potion cost cards and potion specifically. So this is stuff that will usually apply to a number of, or maybe most or all of like the potion cost cards. And this way I don't have to repeat myself in those, and the videos about those cards can focus specifically on those cards, and I'm just not repeating the same general stuff over and over again. So potion is an alternative resource that can be thought of in terms of shuffles. When you want to buy a potion cost card, you basically get 1 opportunity somewhere in your shuffle. Unlike most other cards where you just need a turn, where you're generating enough money, for potion you actually specifically have a certain turn somewhere in your shuffle that you're going to generate this opportunity to actually buy the potion cost card. So this means that it's a lot slower to gain multiple copies because, especially at the start of the game, it's taking you multiple turns to actually shuffle. But, of course, if you can build a deck drawing engine that shuffles every turn, you've now got an opportunity every turn to buy a card, or just other ways to cycle through pretty quickly, like Warehouse or so on. So if you want a lot of potion cost cards, bear in mind you need to be shuffling as often as possible to generate more opportunities to buy these potion cost cards. Now, potion cost cards, because they have a potion in their cost, they tend to be a lot cheaper in terms of the coin part, because the potion is doing more in terms of like adding cost to the card. So what that means is that potion cost cards tend to be pretty cheap coin-wise, and so it's easy to accidentally generate a lot more coins than you need, because you're usually not buying only potion cost cards. In fact, you're basically never doing that. You do need money to buy other cards, so you're just going to get these turns where you're generating a lot of money, and you've also got a potion in there. That means that potion cost cards really make plus buy more valuable, as well as the presence of other cheap action cards, and that is because you're likely to generate too much money, so having the extra plus buy allows you to pick up the potion cost card, and then you've still got this extra money that you can actually put to use buying something else. Now, early on in the game, it's not going to be that much more money, which is why the cheap other action cards are useful. So you can buy a potion, you can buy something that's giving you plus buy as well, and you can start getting multiple cards and actually using that plus buy pretty effectively from early on. Okay, so, while we're going to be talking about when we buy potion in card-specific videos, generally I would say that most of the time you're actually ever only going to buy one potion. With the exception of Vineyard. Vineyard is the potion cost card that's most likely to make you want to buy multiple potions, but most of the time it'll only be one. Part of the reason for that is because potion is actually a really bad card. You only gain it out of necessity in order to buy the other cards. Right? Potion is this stop card, and it does absolutely nothing for you except give you that opportunity to buy one other card. So it's just going to get in the way really easily, right? It's a stop card. You don't really want it. And it's not like the effect that it gives is generally applicable to a lot of things. It's only got this one very specific use. So when you buy a second potion, you tend to find that it really gets in the way quite a lot. And often the demand for how many potion cost cards you want to buy isn't really so high that you desperately want more than one per shuffle. Again, except Vineyard, and we'll go into why that is when we cover Vineyard's video. Like, usually you're okay to just slowly drip feed potion cards into your deck, and so you can wait more than to only buy one per shuffle. Like, usually the best thing to do instead of buying another potion card and adding this stop card to your deck is to just focus on building a deck that cycles a lot more quickly and just play the one potion more often. That's often a much more effective thing to do. So pretty rare to see a situation where you are actually buying multiple potion cost cards. And sure, you can get kingdoms where you have a lot of potion cost cards, especially if it's just alchemy and one other expansion. Or, of course, those dreaded games where you think, oh, I'm just going to play a game with only alchemy cards. Well, of course, you're going to get a lot of potion cost cards in there, and then you might be buying a lot of potions, or maybe you won't, because a lot of the alchemy cards don't actually work very well in alchemy-only games. They really want to be played with another expansion, but, it can happen. So I won't say never, but potion is a card that you're not normally gaining more than one of. And because of that, that means that potion sometimes can actually be a junk card, but interacts with other things. So some cards give you the opportunity to give other cards to your opponent, and potion is usually a pretty good target for that. So some examples: Masquerade, when you finish buying the potion cards that you want, you can pass a potion to your opponent and they got no use for it. Ambassador is a really good one. It copies some card in your hand and you want to give them useless stop cards. Well, there's none more useless than potion a lot of the time. And this allows you to actually keep hold of your own potions, so you can keep on buying your scrying pools or whatever you want to buy, while also just throwing a load of potions at your opponent. Swindler likes to turn 4-cost cards into potions. So 4-cost cards and Swindler, they usually tend to be somewhat protected because 4-cost cards, there's no base cards usually that show up. There's no silver, gold, or duchy. And so the 4-cost cards that show up in the kingdom usually tend to be nice and you're happy to have any of them. So if one of them gets swindled, it doesn't matter because you will take any of the other 4 costs. Well, that's not the case when potion shows up. Normally all of your 4 costs are now likely to turn into potions and you just don't want them. So Swindler gets a bit stronger there. Of course, Swindler is also worse when it actually hits potion cost cards, but your 4s are more at risk when a potion cost card shows up. And you don't have to actually buy a potion cost card, of course. Swindler now gets to turn potions, even when the potion cost card in the kingdom is useless. There's also, as another example, a card called Messenger in Adventures. When you buy it, you get to pick another card costing up to 4 in the kingdom, or more messengers, and everyone gets a copy, including you. Well, if your opponent's already bought a potion, instead of you buying a potion, you can buy a messenger and get your own potion with it, while your opponent gets a second copy. So now they have 2 potions, and you have a messenger and a potion, and your deck looking a lot better in that situation. Embargo is a special case that needs to be called out. So Embargo's pretty good at penalising players trying to buy potion cost cards. You have to give them advance warning that you're planning to buy them by gaining a potion, and that gives your opponent a chance to respond by gaining their own embargo, so they can embargo the potion cost card. Right, they won't embargo the potion, it'll be the card you want to buy with the potions. And this is also because it's hard to gain cards instead of buy them when they cost potion, so it's harder to work around it. And also your opponent is punished for if they change their mind. So if you embargo like the scrying pools and then your opponent's like, oh no, actually maybe I don't really want to buy them now, well, they've bought this potion and it's now completely useless in their deck. So they just bought this worthless card, and so their deck is now in a very bad situation. So watch out for Bargo specifically when you also see Potion in the Kingdom. There are a number of cards that interact with the costs of cards. So the most important for Potion are gainers. A lot of gainers, like Workshop, limit gains to cards that cost up to a certain amount. So Workshop only gains cards costing up to 4. Now, cards with Potion in their cost cannot be gained by most gainers because they have a cost that's listed in more than just coins. Right? Even if you're looking at a card like Golem, which is 4 coins and a potion, right, that doesn't cost up to 4. It costs more than 4 because it's got the potion as well. You know, even Apothecary costs 2 and a potion. Well, you can't gain it with Workshop because Workshop doesn't allow you to gain cards with a potion in their cost. Now, there are various types of card with effects. So, for example, Knights as a trashing attack looks for cards that cost between 3 and 6 inclusive. They can't trash potion cost cards. I'm not going to list everything, but generally anything that has the cost of a card listed in it is probably not going to work very well with potion cost cards, or not work at all. One exception is Remodel. Technically, you can trash a card that already has potion in its cost and then gain a more expensive one that also costs potion. You don't see this very often, but it also allows you to trash cards with potion in the cost and turn it into one that doesn't cost potion, right? All of the regular action cards cost less than a card with the same cost but also has potion on it. So anything that allows you to like downgrade a card, sometimes you can swap out potion cost cards for other more typical costed cards. But, you know, it's a thing that can happen, you just don't really see it all that much. But some gainers don't actually care about cost, and this allows you an opportunity to gain potion cost cards while either not having to get a potion at all and bypass it completely, or at least delay how long you need to wait until you pick up a potion. So a powerful example is Lurker. This trashes any action card from the supply and can gain any action card out of the trash. Doesn't care about cost at all. So you can just start trashing those possessions and picking them up straight away without actually worrying about buying a potion. So that's very powerful. Similarly to that, Hero lets you gain any treasure regardless of cost, so it can pick up Philosopher's Stone. Whether you actually want to do that or not is another question, but it is an interaction that is there. Some cards can exile from the supply, and that can allow you to delay gaining a potion. So Invest and Camel Train from Menagerie, they can just directly stick potion cost cards in your exile. Now, to unexile them, you do actually need a potion at some point. So if you want to get access to those cards, you will have to buy a potion, but you can wait a little while until you do that. Of course, you need to watch out. I had a game once with Camel Train and Alchemist, and my opponent was using Camel Train to exile them, and so was I. And then I bought a potion really late, and I managed to play it and buy the last Alchemist and unexile all my Alchemists, while he had a bunch of them still stuck in his exile, and of course then the pile emptied, and he couldn't unexile them anymore. So my opponent had bought this potion and was like slowly buying and exiling these cards, and then he lost a bunch of them because I snuck in with the potion just at the last minute to pick off all the ones that I had also been exiling. So don't let that happen to you. Watch out. Transport from Menagerie is a special case in that it allows you an alternate way to unexile cards. So it can exile action cards and then also take them out of exile and top deck them. So you don't need potion at all. In fact, transport is the way that you can basically gain a potion card in the opening and play it on the first shuffle, because it can just transport and just exile a possession and then top deck it on turn 2, and then you get to play like possession turn 3. So this is a very special one. It's like Lurker but better, basically, in that regard. And there are some cards that just gain copies of cards that you already have. So Jester can just copy cards from your opponent, so that can allow you to gain potion cost cards without gaining your own. There's Pilgrimage, an event from Adventures. There's Changeling, which is a card in Nocturne. These also gain copies of cards you already own, so you will have had to already bought Potion, but this can get you more copies without having to wait as many shuffles in order to get them. Now, there are more examples, probably now and maybe even more in the future, right? Who knows? So this is not meant to be an exhaustive list, but always take care for ways to gain cards without actually needing to bother with the potion, because the potion is like this really nasty cost that gets added onto potion cards. You just don't want a potion. And if you can bypass it completely, fantastic, right? Just avoid the potion because it sucks and you don't want it if you can help it. So last of all, potion is usually a good target for cost-relevant trashing like Remodel, because often at some point you finish buying potion cost cards, and then once you're no longer buying potion cost cards, potion tends to be completely useless, but it costs 4, so it's a real nice target for stuff like Remodel and Salvager and so on. Alchemist is an exception. This is the only potion cost card, that actually gives you a good reason to keep the potion around once you've finished with it, because it lets you top deck all your alchemists that you played that turn. But for all of the other ones, they don't care about potion. In fact, a lot of them directly don't even synergize with potion in any way, so just get rid of it once you're finished. Sometimes there are other reasons to keep a potion around, and these also sometimes benefit you getting potion without actually planning on buying any potion cost card at all. So Keep gives you points for treasures. Museum and Fairgrounds give you points for uniquely named cards. Horn of Plenty gets stronger the more uniquely named cards that you can play. So just some examples. Again, there are probably more out there, but you're not always trashing potions, basically, just to say. That's it for generic potion advice. Now, there's not going to be a random kingdom analysis in this video because it doesn't really make any sense. You have to have some other potion cost card in there. So we're going to be going through that when we do the actual video specific to those cards. So join me next time, and we will start going over the other cards in Alchemy. So thank you and goodbye.